Hello and welcome back to podcast number 11 from Beautiful Things. I'm Claire and I'll be your host for the next half hour, 45 minutes, however long this takes. So my podcast is predominantly about crochet and knitting with a little bit of sewing thrown in for good measure, and anything generally crafty. So for those of you who've been watching for some time, welcome back. And for those of you who are new, I hope you enjoy. Please do remember to like the video and subscribe below so that you are assured that you won't miss out on other videos that I should upload. As well as my podcast, I often upload tutorial videos for sewing and crochet and general sewing videos, things that I've been making, fabric that I've been buying, and just basically anything crafty that I think will take your fancy. So do check back regularly because there's often new things uploaded for you. So I'm going to start by talking a little bit about me time, and only for a tiny bit because it is something that I have been harping on about a lot recently. For those of you who follow me on Facebook or read my blog or perhaps go to any of the networking groups that I go to, it is something that I have banged on about a lot recently. The main reason for it is because it's only recently that I've actually understood and realised the benefits of me time. Since I started learning to knit and teaching myself to knit, I've made sure that I spend at least an hour every day, normally at the end of my day, doing my knitting or a spot of crochet and enjoying a bit of time for myself. And I've set myself a kind of rule that by the time it gets to about 10 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock, whatever I'm doing, be it housework, tidying up, running around after the kids, catching up on emails or work on my computer, I stop, I get out my knitting or my crochet, make myself a drink and generally sit back and enjoy time. And I've noticed that I am sleeping so much better and I'm waking up feeling so much more refreshed and I'm getting so much more done with my day. So I honestly can 100% recommend me time. Something else I've been doing is treating myself, allowing myself small nuggets of something to make my day happier. And two of those things I can show you now. One of them's about to collapse in my cup of tea because my mug's a bit too big. But I discovered them in Amsterdam, but I've discovered they sell them in the co-op. Stroop Waffles. Now these are lovely little waffly things with caramel in the middle. They're not very good for you if you're on a diet. So I do let myself have one of these maybe every other day as a bit of a treat. But you balance them on top of your cup of tea or coffee. And the steam from the tea or the coffee melts the caramel on the inside. So I'll try and show you what happens. So when you bite into them, there we go. You can see all that oozy, gooey goodness on the inside of this Stroop waffle. So just excuse me 1 minute while I eat it. Yummy, that was delicious. So that gives me probably 5 minutes of pleasure every day or every other day. The other thing, just generally spending money and treating yourself on a little something is really nice. It just feels good and it doesn't have to be loads of money. You don't have to really push the boat out. So I've recently bought myself a really lovely smelly candle. Now this is a verbena candle. It's called Summer in Provence. And it's really, really lovely. It comes in a little tin and I bought that from John Lewis the other day. And I only had about 10 or 15 minutes in there, but it was really nice to just wander around the aisles with all the different candles. And I'd gone with the idea that I was going to buy myself something nice and smelly. And I spent 10 or 15 minutes just in peace and quiet by myself, sniffing all the candles and picking a little something just for me. So now whenever I burn that and I can smell the candle, it just gives me that little reminder that this is my time and it's time for me. So go and do something for yourself this week. This is the challenge I'm going to set you. Go and do something that's me time. It's really important. You don't have to knit, you don't have to crochet. Go and have a bath, read a book. Just do something for you. Close the door on everybody else and let them get on with it while you relax and enjoy yourself. And I promise you that you'll be feeling a heap better afterwards. So let's start with the regular podcast. I'm going to start with an FO. I have a finished object and that is my knitted Swede socks. I am so pleased with these. They actually match. Look, the heels match, the toes match, the cuffs match, everything about them matches. I'm so pleased, and these were knitted 2 at a time from the cuff right the way through to the toe. They didn't come off the needles once, so I'm really pleased. This is a basic vanilla sock pattern. I think I cast on 64 stitches. It's a 2x2 rib. I did 16, 18 rows, I'm not sure how many, but just until I was happy with the size of the rib. I knitted and knitted and knitted. I didn't count my rows until I was happy with the length of the leg. When I was happy with the length of the leg, I put my heel in, and then I just knitted and knitted and knitted and knitted on the foot until I was 4 inches away from the toe. The toe is Mina Phillips's 2 at a time sock pattern, and the heel is the Fish Lips Kiss pattern, which I've mentioned on previous podcasts. So I'm really pleased with how they've turned out. I have certainly risen to the challenge of 2 at a time socks and do absolutely love it. And so now the next pair of socks that I cast on must have some form of patterning. Otherwise, I'm not following my pact of progression through socks. But I am really pleased with these. I will post in the show notes below all the various bits of pattern that I used for them. But they are just a basic 2 at a time cuff down pair of socks. The yarn is from the Knitted Swede, and it is their tropical self-striping sock yarn. I think it's about £18 a skein, and I bought it when I was at Fibre East. So that is my FO. Now, this next one, it might be an FO or it might not, and I need you to help me decide. So it is my Truly Hooked Eliza top. Now, I have finished this and darned into my, oh my goodness, I can't talk, and darned in my ends. So Mum, you don't have to do that for me. And it is finished-ish. So at the moment, it doesn't have any sleeves. So I'm going to insert a bit of video in a minute of me wearing this as it is with a simple black vest top underneath. So you can decide whether it looks like a summer top that I should wear as is and save for the summer. I'm also thinking the colours are really quite vibrant, so they're quite summery and a bit 80s, so they work quite well as a slight off-the-shoulder top, or whether I should put sleeves on it. So I'm going to insert the video here. So here's the top without sleeves. As you can see, it sits a little bit off the shoulder, so I've just got a little vest top underneath here. But the way that the yoke works, it gives you almost like a little cap sleeve. I think it looks really lovely, and I do like the bright vibrant colours, so it's quite summery. If it was to have sleeves, I think it would sit more up here. So you can see it covers up the straps and it would come to here. And I just don't know actually whether this particular yarn and the vibrancy suits that. I think it's more fun as a little sort of off the shoulder summery top. I would like to make it again, I think, with sleeves, but maybe in something a little bit less in your face. I'll let you have a think about it. So what do you think? Have I finished it? Do I leave it for the summer, or do I go on and add the sleeves? Is this an FO or is it a HO? Your choice. So this top was made from Truly Hooked yarn, and it is part of our Eliza cowl. Now you still have time to join the Eliza cowl if you want to. We are all hooking up our own Eliza tops using either Truly Hooked yarn or 4-ply yarn of your choice. There will be 2 prizes for the Truly Hooked Eliza cowl. One for people using Truly Hooked yarn and one for people using other yarns. Those prizes have yet to be announced. I am working on getting those together at the moment. And the end of the cowl is the 1st of December. So you have until the end of November pretty much to get your Eliza top finished. Now that sounds like not very long, but honestly it is such a quick and easy make. Some of the ladies that are taking part in the cowl at the moment, we're all posting on the Ravelry group. So there's a Beautiful Things Ravelry group. We're all posting in there, and some of them have only just done my beginners and my intermediate crochet courses, and they are doing brilliantly. So it really is super easy, and there's lots of people on hand to help you out. I honestly think that if you had 2 or 3 evenings spare to yourself, you could get one made. So do join in, it's not too late. So I look forward to hearing your decision on what I should do, and obviously I will keep you posted. But if you do want me to add the sleeves, I need to get going on that, because obviously the cowl ends at the end of November. So that's my FO and my HO, or potentially FO. And now I'm going to show you what's on my hook. So this in here is my Joanne's Grace contour shawl. So that's this pattern here. And I have got quite a lot of this done. So this weekend just gone, we exhibited at the Brentwood Gift and Food Fair for 2 days, and on the first day I was constantly talking to people, sort of saying, hello, would you like to learn to crochet, blah blah blah, and people stopped and talked to me, but I found myself constantly talking and constantly trying to get people in, like a bit of a market trader. So on the second day I sat on a high stool behind my stall and I just crocheted this shawl, and loads more people stopped. It was almost as if they could see me doing something, so that maybe sparked an interest in them or a memory. Lots of people sort of said, oh, my gran used to crochet, or my mum used to crochet. It sparked a memory or sparked an interest, and it made them stop, and I would sort of be aware that people were standing there very close to me just looking at what I was doing, and I'd carry on for 30 seconds or so before then looking up and sort of then talking to them and saying, would you be interested in learning to crochet? So I got, I think, about 4 or 5 pattern repeats done on this, so it's really growing since you last saw it. So it is absolutely gorgeous. I love the way this works up. Look at those colours. And although it's a lace weight, it's the way you've got the ridges in it, it just makes it really super squishy. It's lovely, and it's going to be really nice and bright and vibrant around my neck. As you can see already, it's sort of down to here. The nice thing about the pattern, it isn't 100% symmetrical, so you can see it's got this kind of curvy point at one end. And this end's just a straight triangle, so it's going to come around really nicely and have a bit of a trailing bit. Obviously there's still quite a lot left to go on that, and because it is a random ball of lace weight yarn that I have left over, I'm not sure where I got it from. I have a feeling it's from For the Love of Yarn, but I could be wrong. But I bought it at Yarndale 2 years ago now. But I have this much left. So I'm just going to keep going until this cake is finished, because there's no point having a little scrap of lace weight yarn left over. So although the pattern only calls for a certain number of rows, I'm just going to keep going. So I will keep you posted on how that's coming along. So I'm pleased with that. That's my contour shawl. So that's all that's on my hook. So I've been working pretty monogamously on that Eliza top, to be honest, because I wanted to get the bottom part finished. So I've been doing that most evenings this week. Obviously I've done the contour shawl in a big chunk on Sunday at the show. Haven't really had much of a chance to do an awful lot of knitting and crochet of an evening during this week. I've been out to the theatre to see a friend's daughter in a show. I've been teaching a couple of evenings and had some really busy classes in the week as well in the daytime, so I haven't really had that much dedicated time, hence why we've got a couple of weeks since my last podcast, but I have got lots done, so I'm going to show you. Mum has been very busy. So in the last podcast I talked about my Talisane jumper and how I'd started the sleeves but I'd missed out a row of knit stitches, and therefore there was a big gap where there should be a ridge, and it was pretty unanimous. All of you came back and said, no Claire, rip it back, do it again, because otherwise you're going to be really unhappy with it and it's going to bug you. And you're right, and you are right. But before I had a chance to do it, my lovely mum came along and typed a comment saying, if you give it to me, I'll pull it all back for you and I'll knit you back to where you were, and then you can start off where you left off. So thank you, mummy. Love you. So she has done that for me. So she has re-knitted my sleeves, and I'd only got to here. So you can see where the short rows are, where the ridges are, and I was just about to start my wide rows. Well, mummy, you said you'd done 16 rows, but I can see that you've done quite a bit more than that. So there's 4 lovely chunks here of big. So you've basically knitted me another section the same size as I'd already done on both my sleeves, because she's done them 2 at a time for me. So thank you, mummy. That was very sneaky of you. I have a feeling that if I hadn't pulled you up on it, you might have carried on and finished them for me. And I'm not actually sure whether I would have been happy about that, because it's kind of my project. But I might have secretly been a bit pleased. But we'll see. But thank you for that. So we're ready to get cracking on this again now. I will pick up where mum left off, and hopefully when I come to you next time, I might actually have 2 finished sleeves, a front and a back, and I might be ready to join it all together. So we shall see. The other thing that I cast on, I showed you in my last podcast my tension square for my, what I'm going to call my peacock jumper, which was made from this lovely Stylecraft Cabaret yarn. Well, I ordered the right needles after I got my tension square done. So I ordered some Knit Pro Symphonies in 3.5, and I cast on, and I knit the first row, and I got to the end of the first row and I realised I'd gone wrong. I had 1 stitch there which shouldn't have been there. The stitch count was right before I started, which means somewhere along the way I've knitted when I should have purled, or I purled when I should have knit. And I was so cross and angry. I did what I constantly say that I shouldn't do, and I cast on late at night as well, so I wasn't concentrating. I was trying to watch telly. I did all the things that I know I shouldn't do, but because I was cross, actually what it's done is it's made me think. So I'll tell you more about it in the next podcast, because I'll have it by then and it will be more relevant. But I do have another jumper on the cards, and I'm also working on my Talisane jumper. And realistically, jumpers are big tasks for a newbie knitter. They take ages, and how many jumpers does one girl need on the needles at any one time? I don't know that I actually really want a jumper in this yarn. And so I'm going to pull this back and rethink about what I want out of this yarn. Now I know that I love it because I love my road trip scarf, which I've got here made out of it. I made this last year and I wear this loads. I get lots and lots of wear out of it. I also know that the yarn knits up beautifully because my mum made me a shawl out of the sunset colourway for Christmas last year, and I wear that loads. And initially I thought I'd knit the same shawl. It's like a wide, long scarf really. But I thought I'd knit the same shawl because we have the pattern. It's an actual Stylecraft pattern that's designed for the yarn. But mum says to me, no, don't do it, because it's actually, although it's intuitive, it's not an easy one to go backwards, knit backwards if you make a mistake. And where I'm still quite new, I need to really be able to get back easily. There's lots of yarn overs and things like that, which she thinks I won't get on very well with. So I'm not going to do that. But I know from the tension square, and I'll insert a picture up here so that you can see how beautiful the yarn looks knitted tightly. I know from the tension square that it looks beautiful really close, and obviously this is the road trips shawl here. You can see it's quite lacy, it's got lots of big holes between it. But I want to make something where the fabric's quite close, quite knitted together quite closely. So I would love your advice on some shawls. I wear a lot of shawls, or shawlettes, like the little shawls that I can wrap around me, that look nice with a close texture, so not a lacy texture. I don't think it needs to necessarily be all garter stitch. I'm not sure that would look all that pretty, but something, I don't know, I need your help. Something quick, easy, simple, fairly intuitive that I can just sit and knit. It's going to grow quickly. I can use 3.5 or 4mm needles because that's what I've got. Yeah, give me some ideas. I think it's definitely a shawl or a scarf that I want to make with it, and I am itching to cast it on because I really want to get some wear out of it. So I need your help with that one. But it's definitely not going to be a jumper. I've made that decision now, and I'll tell you more about my other jumper plans when I come back with my next podcast, because I have something coming up that involves that jumper. So also on my needles, my voyage shawl. I love this. Thank you, Katie from Inside Number 23 for making a voyage shawl. If I hadn't have seen it on your channel, I would never have made it. I'm loving making this. I have to knit on it when I have at least half an hour, if not an hour, to myself with no interruptions. No telly, no podcasts, no children, nothing. So grabbing that time is hard, but we are getting there. It's lovely. It's really hard to show this off because it's so big and it's on circular needles. You can't see it at its full width. I can't open that out to its full width because it will all just fall off the needles. But you can see the lovely texture and the pattern and how it's working up. So I'm just ridiculously proud of this because I have done this 100% on my own. No help from anybody. Any mistakes I've made, I've fixed for myself. I have had to pull a few rows back, but they've mainly been when I was knitting at stupid times. And so I'm being very strict to myself as when I'm allowed to knit on this. And I am still inserting lifelines. You can see I've just finished my 8th row of the pattern repeat, so I've just put my lifeline back in, ready to start again. On 2 occasions, so I'm just trying to look, I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've done 8 pattern repeats, and on 2 occasions out of those pattern repeats, I've gone wrong about 2 or 3 rows in, and I have had to pull back to the lifeline. So I'm pleased that I'm still putting it in. I've managed the last 3 pattern repeats without having to do that, but I know sod's law, the minute I think, oh, I won't put it in, I'll need to do it and I'll regret it. So I am going to put that lifeline in the whole way through my work. For those of you who don't know what a lifeline is, if you're new to knitting, you basically take some thinner yarn, so I'm just using scrap sock weight yarn, and you thread it through the stitches that are on your cable before you're going to start on any particular part. So if you were making socks, you might want to put it, when you finish the leg, you might want to put it in before you start the heel. So if you muck the heel up, you can pull it back and you're going to get back to where you started. Same goes for the toe. Well, with this shawl, it's full of 8-row pattern repeats. So I put one in at the beginning of every pattern repeat. And it's just really helpful, and I think lifeline's a really good name for it. So I'm keeping this in my quilted drawstring project bag that I made myself the other day. I have made another one of these that is twice the size of it, and it is massive. I forgot to bring it home from work though, so I will show you that in my next podcast. And I'm also in the process of making a middle-sized one, so I'm hopefully going to launch that as a class in the new year. And if I can, I'll do it as an online class as well. So watch this space. I have a couple more things on my needles. The next 2 are cast-ons. So I guess I have been quite busy in the last few weeks. This one I only cast on last night. Now I should say I cast this on at 6:45, and at 7:30 I was teaching a crochet for beginners class. The class finished at 9:30, and then I did another hour's knitting before I went to bed. So in an hour and 45 minutes, I can't get this out of the bag, it's so big. In an hour and 45 minutes, I managed to knit all of this. and I'm really pleased with it. This is a Fisherman's Rib, so it looks like brioche. It's not, I'm not that clever, but you can see it's got this lovely rib pattern that looks the same on the front as it does on the back. And it's beautifully soft and super squishy. And I love it. It's using this chunky lime green yarn that I bought, super chunky, that I bought from Poundstretcher. I bought 3 or 4 balls of it ages ago, and it's been in my stash, mainly because it's company colours, and I thought I could make hats for it for Yarndale and never got around to it. So this is using a pattern that Mina Phillip, the Knitting Expat, posted on her YouTube channel a couple of weeks ago. She was sent some super bulky yarn to knit with on 15mm needles. So I've adapted it ever so slightly because this isn't super bulky like the yarn she used. It is super chunky, but it's nowhere near as thick as the yarn that she used. I tried earlier on in the week lots of different cast-ons with lots of different size needles, and I did start with 15mm, but it just looked too weird, and I worked out I had some 9mm. I did it on that, and I thought it could do with just being a tiny bit tighter, so I ordered myself some 8mm Knit Pro Symphonies because I like these. They're also really nice and quite pointy, so they're useful. And I cast this on last night. It's going to be a cowl, so I'm just going to knit until the ball ends, and then I've got another ball, and I'm just going to knit it into one big long strip and join it together and wear it as a cowl to wrap around my neck. I think it's going to be lovely and warm and toasty, and as I say, it's really, really, really quick knit. It's also really intuitive. When I first started it, I was worried that I wouldn't remember what row I was on, because it's basically a really simple pattern, and I can talk about it because it's free on Mina's channel. You knit one, and then you knit one in the row below, and then you knit one and you knit one in the row below. But at the beginning of row 1, that's what you do: knit one below, knit one below. And row 2, you knit 2 and then below, normal, below, normal, below, normal, and you end with 2. So it's really, really simple, but when I was trying it out and testing it out, I kept making mistakes because I'd forget what row I was on. So when I first started this last night, I actually wrote on a piece of paper 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and I crossed them off as I went. So I knew that if I stopped and went off to do something, when I came back, what row I should start with. But now I've worked out, and it's taken me a little while because obviously you have to knit these things to get a feel for how they're working up. I can start to see the pattern now, and I've actually worked out that when it's facing me, if one of the ridges is proud and standing forward for me, I need to knit below in that stitch. So I can see straight away by looking at the beginning of my work, well, here the first proud row is the 3rd stitch in, so I know that this is a row that I need to knit one below. And obviously once you get started, you just carry on. When you get to the other end, there should be, after you've knit one below, 2 lovely knit stitches waiting for you to finish. So it has now become intuitive, but it did take me probably to about there before I realised that. But now that I'm there, I'm really looking forward to knitting some more on that. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be an FO really quickly, bearing in mind I did that in an hour and a bit, and that was when I was just learning the pattern. So loving that. So thank you, Mina. I posted that on my Instagram last night, so some of you might have seen it. It looked quite dirgy in the photo, but you can see it's a really lovely, vibrant, limey green, and it's got some real movement to it. So I think it's going to look really lovely and snug as a cowl. Oh look, knitting beard. So the other one is also a naughty cast on, but in the last day has become a naughty project. So let me tell you about this. This is my knitted sock that I was going to cast on in my Little Boo custom dye Beautiful Things colourway. And I bought my green, my brown and my hot pink from 5 Moons when I was at Yarndale. So I told you about this in my Yarndale purchases, but I'd promised that I wouldn't cast it on until I finished my stripy socks, and I kept my promise, so that was good. I cast this on the other day, and I actually went back to my DPNs. I wanted to try them because, again, these were new. These are my Knit Pro Carbons that I bought at Yarndale. I wanted to try them out. And also I figured because this was my first sock colour changing for my cuff, my heel and my toe, I didn't know that I would manage that colour change all that well using a 2 at a time sock. I also knew that I wanted to do a shorty sock, so I thought I probably wouldn't end up with single sockitis. So I'm really pleased. It's grown super quickly. I cast this on last Wednesday evening. It's Wednesday today, so yeah, a week ago. I cast it on Wednesday evening because I wanted some simple knitting to take with me to Knit and Natter on Thursday. So I did the cuff and I did this little stripe here, and then I knitted the toe, the heel. I did that at 10 o'clock at night in the dark, and you can see it's really dark brown. So it really was hard work, but I was determined to get it to this part so that I could just do some straight vanilla knitting at Knit and Natter. So I got it finished to about here, I guess, until a couple of days ago, and then I knitted the rest of the foot. And I knew that I'd measured my previous sock, and I knew that from the heel to where the toe started I needed 4 3/4 inches, and that's what I've got. I thought I'll just try it on just to be sure, but I can't get it over my foot. So I thought I'd be cunning, I'd do this little roll top, which I've seen done before, but because it's not a rib, so my tail end's in there, look, because it's not a rib and it's just knit, it has absolutely no stretch in it, and so I can't get it over my foot. So I'm absolutely gutted because I really like these. However, I then got my daughter to come downstairs and try them on, and I realised that actually I could do with about 1 inch less before I start the toe on her, but I don't really want to pull it back because it's only a little bit baggy. If I put the toe on it now, it's only a tiny bit baggy, and I figured I could make them for her, and yes, they'd be a little big on her, but she would grow into them, so she'd get a lot more wear out of them. If I make them fit now, she won't get quite so much wear out of them, and I think they will just be at-home socks. Realistically, I can't see her wearing these inside her shoes. So I am disappointed that they won't be any good for me, but at the same point, I'm this far in and I've nearly got a hoe. The last thing I want to do is pull it all back and start again. I don't think. I don't know. I might just have to put these in the bag and think about it. I've got loads of the green, loads of the pink, loads of the brown, so that's not an issue. But really, that's all I've got of my BTHQ yarn. And these are special. But so is she. And she does deserve special socks. I'll think about it. But it's been lots of fun. And I'd actually forgotten how much I enjoyed knitting on DPNs. As much as I love Magic Loop, these DPNs are lovely. And again, these are, again, seen Katie, again, from inside number 23. Again, that's what I'm saying today. She was knitting on these when I met her at Fiberist, and they looked really nice to work with. And they are lovely. They're far nicer than the Symphonies that I use. And they're quite sturdy, and I haven't had any near misses or accidents dropping my stitches on these yet, so I do really like them. So big shout out to the needles. But these are going back in the bag for now while I sleep on it for a couple of days and decide what to do, whether Izzy's going to be a lucky girl or whether I'm prepared to lose 4 hours of knitting. It's not too bad actually, is it? We'll see. So that's all my knitting and all my crochet for today. I'm just going to double check. So what I didn't say about my void shawl was that I am knitting that as part of our crochet along or knit along, our Misty Cowl. For those of you who are new to the podcast, we are buying the James C. Brett Misty yarn, which is available in 6 different colours, from my local wool shop, Tilly's Wool Wagon, in an aim to support our local yarn shop. So you can knit or crochet absolutely anything you like in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the colours. The choice is yours. The only rule is that you must buy your yarn from Tilly's Wool Wagon, and Tilly will post, and if you want it sent to you internationally, then let me know and I'll sort it out for you, because I do have some very good rates for international postage and delivery through my business. So it doesn't have to be expensive for you to take part. So full details are posted below in the show notes, but you can also find them on our Ravelry group. There is no deadline for the Misty Cowl. We are going to be going through into the new year easily. It's probably going to be an ongoing cowl for the foreseeable future. My mum bought some yarn the other day. We went to the first Knit and Natter group at Tilly's Wool Wagon last Thursday, and mum bought herself some Misty yarn in the sort of stony grey colour, and she's also going to knit a void shawl. Now, something that those of you who know my mum know, but those of you who don't, mum isn't very good at coming up with her own ideas or designing anything or colour schemes or anything. But she loves to knit and crochet and generally craft, but she needs to be told what to do and what to do it in. So she liked my void shawl, she liked the yarn, we chose a colour, that's what she's going to make. I did try to get her to come up with a different idea, but she doesn't have one and she wants to take part, and so that's fine by me. Speaking of mum, would you like to see my mum on the podcast? I know I mention her a lot, and quite a few of you have commented about her in the posts and the comments below. I know that Danny from Little Bobbins quite often does podcasts with her mum, and it's really nice actually. I like watching the two of them. Mum has loads of projects on the go at the moment. I have got her a little bit hooked back on knitting, so I wondered whether you would like to see her on the podcast. Not every week, but I can bring her in now and again, and we can have a little chat about what she's up to and what she's been doing. So she gets to see, you get to see me from the other side. You get to see me as daughter, rather than just me on my own. So let me know if you want to see her. I have already sounded her out on the idea, and she's not 100% on it, but she's also not 100% no either. So if you want to see her, please let me know, comment below, and if enough of you are interested in having a little natter on the podcast with my mum, then I will get her in for our next podcast. So let me know. So the other things I wanted to chat, I'm just going to get to the general chatter side of things now. I wanted to just have a little shout out to the lovely Lisa Comfort from Sew Over It. For those of you who watch Lisa's sewing videos, she often posts about her fabric hauls and her makes videos. It's more sewing and dressmaking than knitting and crochet, excuse me. But she had done a post the other day. It was the seamstress tag, which I've also done, to talk about herself, and she mentioned in that she didn't really have any hobbies, and that she often knew that she needed to have some time out for herself, like I was talking about earlier, but that being in a sewing and craft related business, it was very easy to make something that used to be your hobby work, and then therefore you lose the love for it. And it's something that mum always warned me about when I set my company up. I mustn't do too much crafty stuff and lose the love of craft, because I'm always teaching it, which is why the knitting side of things is for me. That is my hobby. I'm never going to teach knitting. I don't care how many of you ask me to do it. I am not good enough by any means, and the lovely Carol does a fantastic job of teaching knitting in our studio, and so she shall carry on doing that. Knitting will very much be my hobby, but Lisa mentioned that she didn't actually have any hobby. She tried knitting, but it didn't really work out for her, and that she was looking for something new. So I packaged her up one of our virtual online crochet courses, and I popped it in the post to her, and I was really touched that at the end of her latest sewing video, which something like 19,000 people have watched, and she's got thousands of subscribers, but she actually personally mentioned me at the end of her video and said thank you for sending it through to her. So thank you, Lisa, for the mention. I was really very grateful and really very touched. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how you get on with your crochet course, and we may well have a hooker in the making. So the other thing to tell you about talking about the online side of my business is that just tiny weeny bit of sales patter, we have launched our kits as gifts now, so you are able to buy the courses for your loved ones for Christmas. The reason that we've done it specifically as a gift option is because I absolutely hate having a voucher for Christmas. I like something physical to open, and so the way that we've set it up means that we can post you the kit. You can then wrap it up and give it to the recipient for Christmas, and inside is an activation code, so they can then log on to the computer, activate it and start their course. So if they want to, they can start learning to crochet on Christmas Day, should they choose. So I wanted to just let you know that that exists, and again I'll put the link below where you can order your kits from, and the gift option is available on all 4 of our crochet courses. So the other thing to mention is the Yarn Lovers tag. I filmed a video called the Yarn Lovers tag a couple of weeks ago, which is also on this channel, and I am now verbally tagging any of you out there who have YouTube channels. Go and do a Yarn Lovers tag video for me. I would love to see this spread itself across the internet. It's a really great way of discovering who we all are, what we love, what we do, and just generally sharing the yarny glory. So again, I'll pop the link below to my YouTube video, my Yarn Lovers tag, and there are already a few of you out there on YouTube who have recorded your own Yarn Lovers tag video, so thank you for doing that. You can just search hashtag Yarn Lovers tag in YouTube and it will bring it up. It's all just one word. It will bring up the other people who have filmed them. So I'm just checking my list over here. Yeah, that's all I really have to talk about this week. So it is quite a short one. I have made myself another little something that I wanted to just show you. I picked up this fabulous cat fabric the other day. Isn't it great? All these lovely cats, and it was so sweet. I loved it, so I've made myself a little project bag for me. Now I don't really make project bags to sell. I am going to do some for a course. I'm happy to teach you how to make them, and I will pop a few in my shop on my website in the next week or so for gifts. It's only because I have stock left over from Yarndale that I would like to sell. So it's not something that I'm planning on doing on a regular basis. So if you want one of my project bags, then you'll need to grab it from the shop when I update it, and I'll keep you posted via our social media channels as to when that's going to be. But we do have some large and small project bags. This is the large size, and this is the small size. And we do have some little pyramid notions pouches as well, and I'm going to do them as gift sets, so you'll get a little notions pouch and a bag, and possibly a little row counter, a little digital row counter thrown in. We've also got these ones which are just our drawstring project bags. So there will be a selection of them going on the shop in the next week or so, but they will be one-offs. It's not something that I'm going to do on a regular basis. We made a lot of stock for Yarndale. I was really worried that I wouldn't have enough, and I actually probably made too much. So I'm going to pop those on the shop, so we'll be able to sell them for you. But that's really all I've got to say. I'm probably going to be a couple of weeks before I'm back to you with a podcast. I have again got quite a busy few weeks. I want to have something finished and some really good progress made on some of my other projects before I come back. Otherwise, I'm just going to be rehashing what I've told you today, which is a bit of a waste of my time and your time. So I podcast as and when I have things to tell you rather than on a weekly basis. But I do have a few little videos. I have some sewing tutorials and a few other little snippets already filmed and edited that I will pop up on my YouTube channel over the next couple of weeks. They're mainly sewy things, nothing knitting and crochet, and I am working on a free online course to make a crochet Christmas decoration, so hopefully that will be ready to reveal to you by the end of November. But watch this space. So thank you for watching. As usual, you can find me in all the usual places. We have our Ravelry group. My Facebook page is Craft Classes at Beautiful Things. And you can find me on Instagram as ArtyFartyMac. And you can find me on Twitter as Claire Macaness. But all the links for those things are down below. And I look forward to talking to you again really soon. So bye for now.